Okay, everyone, if we can get started, find our seats. If you wouldn't mind closing the back doors, I greatly appreciate it. We're about to get started. Thank you so much. Okay, good morning, everyone. We are on the record. Today is Monday, the 17th day of the 15th day of August. I don't want to rush it. In the year 2022, this is a City Council Caucus meeting of the Jersey City Municipal Council. We had a scheduled 10 a.m. start. The clock on my cell phone is showing 10:09 a.m. May we have a roll call for the commencement of this caucus? Councilperson Ridley.
Here.
Councilperson Prinzeri.
Here.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Here.
Councilperson Saleh is not here. Councilperson Solomon.
Here.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Present.
Councilperson DeGise. Councilperson Rivera.
Here.
And Council President Waterman.
Here.
We have 8 council members in attendance at 10:09 a.m. On behalf of Council President Waterman, in accordance with the New Jersey Public Laws of 1975, Chapter 231, the Open Public Meetings Act, also known as the Sunshine Law, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the posting on the bulletin board of the first floor of City Hall, the annual notice, which is the schedule of meetings and caucuses of the Municipal Council for the calendar year 2022, and filed in the office of the City Clerk on Thursday, October 28, 2021. In addition, at the time of its preparation, the agenda of this meeting was similarly disseminated on Friday, August 12, 2022, at 3 p.m. to the Municipal Council, Mayor, Business Administrator, Corporation Council, and the local newspapers, and posted on the city's website, so I can certify as to our total compliance with the Sunshine Law. Council President, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Good morning. Well, we have a heavy agenda, and so let's get right through it. So when you come up, just read the title of your ordinance or resolution and then just the purpose of it. Okay, the first one is our Director Shea.
What's this one?
Good morning, Council President and Council members, and with me will be Director Kears from OEM, because several of these resolutions are directly related to OEM. Our first resolution from the Department of Public Safety is agenda number 10.15, Resolution 22553. It is for funds for a contract for Millennium Communications Group. This is a previously approved resolution. We're just submitting it because the price is less than the original previously approved. It was originally approved for $24,415, and the actual amount is $20,349. So we're adjusting.
Okay. Any questions? Next one.
Next one is agenda number 10.46, Resolution 22584. This is a resolution asking for permission to accept $40,000 in a port security grant from the federal government. The port security grant money will be used to continue to keep our Pierce fire trucks. Pierce is out of business, so we need to hire the outside company that keeps their trucks rolling. It'll keep those trucks in service for a year.
Okay. Any questions? Next.
10.45, Resolution 22583 is a resolution authorizing an agreement with Passaic County Community College to permit our fire recruits to attend the Passaic County Public Safety Academy. The tuition will be $33,000, and it's a total of 23 recruits, most of whom will backfill the promotions we just made to create the 2 new high-rise companies.
Any questions? Next one.
10.47 is Resolution 22.585. It's a resolution asking under state contract for us to purchase from Atlantic Uniform Company 24 ballistic shields, one for each of our radio cars that responds to radio runs. So in the event of an incident such as Uvalde or something else, each car will have available to them an additional level of protection, so the officers will have more time to evaluate the situation and devise a response.
Any questions, guys?
And I'd like to thank the council because, as you know, you gave us permission to move fast. We've already got these shields. Thank you.
Next one.
10.52, Resolution 22590 is a resolution authorizing us. It's a contract to the Cashano and Associates for the radios for OEM. Greg?
This is for, this is funded through the 2021 UASI grant. It's 140 portable radios for use by members of the police department.
Okay. Next one.
Next, 10.53 is also OEM. It's a resolution allowing Greg to spend out of the UASI grant account $25,889 for the portable trailer cameras on his OEM trailers when they go to a scene of an emergency.
Any questions?
Okay, 10.54, Resolution 22592 authorizes us to give a contract to Millennium Communications Group, which runs our camera system. It's $51,000, and it's the maintenance hours for the main.
Yes, this will cover the Emergency Operations Center. The total amount is $51,000, funded through the 2021 UASI grant.
Okay.
Okay, 10.55, Resolution 22593 is a additional grant. It's authorizing us to accept $44,125 and have OEM spend it on flex shields, which are a different shield for the police officers. They'll go in the detective cars and the other cars that are not immediate first responders, in case they're the first ones to come across one of these incidents. That's why it's not as good a shield as the other one, a little less expensive, but it's more than adequate for what we need it for. And that's also a grant.
Right.
Okay, and then I think one of the final OEM ones, 10.57, 22.595, authorizes us, this is for the server and storage upgrades for Greg's system over in OEM, for the camera system.
What does public safety have to do with OEM?
10.58 is a resolution authorizing us to spend $148,826, and this is going to be for the cameras, both internal and external, mostly centered on the Bethune Center and the park across the street. That's the latest expansion of our camera system.
What about Pershing Field?
And then 10.59, Resolution 22597, is authorizing us, and we have the funds in the reserve account, to pay Millennium to replace the pole and cameras at MLK and Orient Avenue. That pole and camera went down in an auto accident. We will get the money back. Risk management will recover the money from the private insurance company, but we have to pay it first, and then it's recovered by risk management.
Okay. Let's see.
And then you have one more, right?
Greg, what you got? Go ahead.
Good morning, Council President, members of the council. I have several items before your presentation today. Resolution 22605-1067. This will award a contract to Continental Hardware to supply various masonry supplies to the City Hall Improvement Project. Total amount of the encumbrance is $100,000. 22606-10-68. Resolution will authorize the award of a contract to WHL Enterprises, trading as Bill Leary Air Conditioning and Heating, perform emergency repairs to ductwork at the bathrooms at City Hall. The total amount of the contract, $58,000.
So, Director, which numbers was that last one and this one?
22606-10.68.
Just a quick question on both of these. What capital funds are we drawing off of for these repairs?
Public Works.
Public Works, and what do we have? Like, was this? Which issuance was this and fund and all that?
Councilman, this was the one that we issued late last year, early this year. It's for improvements to City Hall, to sub-account on different buildings. So we bonded for about $10 million total for buildings, and this is a $2 million tranche of that.
Got it. Okay, thanks.
22608, 10.70. Resolution will authorize the award of a contract through Sourcewell Purchasing Cooperative for the purchase of 4 2023 Ford T50 Past Transit vans and 4 Transit 150 cargo vans for the Department of Public Works Automotive Division. Total amount of the contract, $378,022.64.
Greg, is 1069 yours also?
It is not, Rich.
No?
No.
Okay.
I'll verify that. Hold on.
Any questions?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Councilman, that's the administration and the DPW directors together. It's the auto auctions.
Okay, go ahead, Greg.
22-609-1071, resolution will authorize the award of a contract to Sourcewell Purchasing Cooperative for the purchase of a 2023 Ford Transit passenger van for the Department of Public Works, Division of Sanitation. Total amount of the contract, $49,643.20. Resolution 22-610, 10.72, resolution will authorize the award of a contract to Gentili Ford for the purchase of 6 Explorer K-9 patrol vehicles, replacing the existing vehicles which have exceeded their operational expectancy. Total amount of the contract, $318,450.30. 22-611, 10.73, this resolution will authorize the award of contract to Cambria Automotive to provide 7 Mack Granite single-axle dump trucks with spreaders and plows for the Sourcewell Purchasing Cooperative for the Department of DPW Automotive Services Division. Total amount of the contract, $1,575,336. Resolution 22-612, 10.74, resolution will authorize award of a contract through Sourcewell Purchasing to deliver 1 Ford Transit cargo van for the DPW Automotive Services Division. Total amount of the contract, $44,011.78. Resolution 22-613, 10.75, resolution will authorize the award of a contract to Rachel Michelle's Oil Company to provide gasoline on the New Jersey State contract. Total amount of the contract, $750,000. 22-614, 1076, resolution will authorize award of a contract to Michelle Oil Company to provide diesel fuel on the New Jersey State contract. Total amount of the contract, $750,000. And the last resolution is 22-617, 10.79. This resolution will authorize the award of professional service contract to Davy Resource Group to perform professional inventory of the city trees and revise the tree management plan. The total amount of the contract is $54,100.
Can I ask a question about that? Do we have an existing tree management plan?
We do. We just brought on a new tree, a senior forester. So this, for information purposes, Councilman, will deal with the trees in the parks and the city trees. I think this was first proposed, I believe, back in 2015, and based on the additional parks and things like that, I think it's imperative that now that we have a full-time forester on board, to work with this company so we can get an accurate depiction of exactly what we have.
Got it. And I assume, Councilman Prinzeri, the Shade Tree Committee reviewed the proposal here? Or can I ask what the Shade Tree Committee's role is here?
Well, the Shade Tree Committee has not reviewed this proposal. The Shade Tree Committee has been on hiatus since we were meeting twice a month to finish the forestry standards.
Got it.
However, this is if I'm understanding, this is also part of an inventory management that was done previously under Ed O'Malley, the previous forester. So this can only complement and benefit the work that has already been done in the past, and to make sure that the new forester is up to speed and current with all contracts.
All righty. And about how long do we expect this to take if once we approve it?
I would say approximately 6 months is a rough estimate. It could take a little longer, obviously, depending on the density, what they find.
Okay, great. And if I could ask one off-topic question, give me a second, because it connects to this, but a little different. You know, we're getting a number of questions from constituents about what our guidance should be about the spotted lanternflies. Obviously, we say stop them, but do we have a broader plan as a city for how we're tackling them and what we view the risk level of their infestation?
Well, I think basically there was an article I read in the last several days that the state realized that there's been such an inundation. They're recommending rudimentary step on them if you see them. The county, I know, is taking some initiative in it as far as what their how the vulnerability is. So at all level, it's being done on the county side. We are aware of it. We have seen a number of them throughout the city, but I think it's just right now, as the temperatures start to dwindle, they will start to dwindle. But there is a very, very large amount of them throughout the whole state.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be interested in talking with yourself and the forester in the coming months about what our city's plan is. in essence, just also being, kind of briefed and advised on how serious it is.
Right.
Is this a danger to the whole tree canopy? Are these not great, but we live with them? Just getting a sense of what we're actually dealing with.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman, just an update on that. There has been some new chemical substances that have been brought to the public, but we're just reviewing them with the health department as to how toxic they are, or if they would work in an urban environment. So that may be an option in the future. We just want to make sure we get it right before we distribute anything.
Okay. Thank you. McNair, Human Resources.
Good morning, Council. I'm here with Dan Henry, who is the senior consultant, one of the city brokers from Doyle Alliance Group. We have 4 resolutions. The first one is 10.18, this resolution 22-556. This is a resolution authorizing the extension of a contract with Express Scripts to provide prescription drug plan for eligible city employees and retirees. The total contract amount is $3 million. The effective date is September 1st. This is in conjunction with Resolution 1022.
Any questions? Go ahead, next one.
Next resolution is 10.19. This is a resolution authorizing the award for contract with Metropolitan Life Insurance Company to provide life insurance to non-management city employees and retirees. This is a contract for the amount of $298,300 for 1 year. The effective date is July 1st.
Questions? Go ahead.
The next one is 10.20, resolution authorizing the award of a contract with Equitable Financial Services Company of America to provide life insurance for management employees, city employees, and retirees. The total contract is $144,060. It's a 1-year contract,
Okay.
effective 7/1. And the last resolution is 10.22, the resolution authorizing an agreement with Crumdale Partner on behalf of Express Scripts for a period of 3 years to provide prescription drug program for eligible city employees and retirees. And the total amount is $21,681,000. The effective date is 9/1.
Okay. Explain, go ahead. Explain something to us with that 21 million.
So I have Dan, who's going to explain.
Okay. Come. We won't hurt you.
Good morning.
Explain the 21 million,
Oh, the contract, I apologize.
Yeah.
So the 21 million is for the renewal of the current prescription drug contract. The current contract is a 3-year program as well, so we're going to be renewing for an additional 3 years. That is the cost of the prescription drug program actually on an annual basis is what we're projecting based off contract terms.
With the new bill that passed in the federal government concerning prescription, would this lower the cost for us? Did anybody check into that?
You referencing the Medicare now has the ability
Right.
to negotiate the drugs? So potentially in terms of they are going to take a stand on some of the higher end medications, specialty and whatnot, and that would be for Medicare first, but then trickling down as those drug manufacturers distribute it to everybody really, in a position like yourselves with a self-insured program.
Go ahead, John.
Council President, if I could add to this. So the reason we're making the change here, and if they could elaborate a little further, is this co-op is more comprehensive than the existing co-op we're in. And when you buy these drugs at a larger volume and scale, you do get additional benefit and discount. So this is an opportunity for us to enter a larger pool, and bringing our services to that pool will then further reduce costs potentially in the future. So we're looking to make this change. We're roughly spending between 21 and 23 million annually for prescription costs. So we're hoping that this will be the height of it at 21, and future reductions as their co-op expands.
Any questions? Thank you. Webb? Ms. Webb?
Good morning, Council.
here to present 10.10.
We need to hear you.
Okay, I'm here to present 10.10, which is Resolution 22-48. It's a resolution authorizing the City of Jersey City Office of the Business Administrator to accept grant funding from the New Jersey Department of Urban Enterprise Zone, authorizing the UEZ Off-Duty Police Program 22, and the total amount is $986,481.
Any questions on this UEZ grant? Okay, next one.
10.11, which is a resolution authorizing the City of Jersey City Office of the Business Administrator to accept a grant from the New Jersey Division of Urban Enterprise, authorizing UEZ for FY22 for the administrative budget, and that amount is $394,592.50.
Council, if I could
ahead.
just give a brief understanding of this. So we accepted these grant funds a few months ago. That was for the fiscal year ending June 30th. So these funds will available July 1st through June of 2023. And we'll continue the off-duty post, and the administrative costs go for the funding of our partner entity and expanding some of those projects initiatives. And then the rest of the tranche outside the administrative and off-duty cost will go directly into the UEZ properties for various projects that we're working with the UEZs on. So hopefully we'll continue this yearly, having both the partnership, having the off-duty post, and then doing the initiatives within the UEZs.
It's a cut down on the police officer overtime?
Well, these are additional posts specifically for the UEZ, but the ones that we can cover with on-duty post, if we have it will facilitate offsetting the budget.
Okay.
Can these funds be used for SID expenditures like holiday lates or?
Councilman, that'll be the remaining funds. Yeah, so this is just administrative and policing.
Okay.
And then the rest of the funds are dedicated directly from the state to the city for those SID, UEZ initiatives. Right now, we're working on some streetscapes and some ideas with each individual UEZ.
Thank you. Thank you. Margaret, HHS.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry, I never know how close to stand to this thing. All right, I have one ordinance and 4 resolutions today. The ordinance is item 36, ordinance 22-073, amending and supplementing Chapter 3 of the City Code to create a Division of Community Relations and Social Services within the Department of Health and Human Services. This is something that I believe was presented by Director Flanagan at the budget presentation last month. And so we're finally ready to get it added to the municipal code. Are there any questions?
Yes, with regards to this 336, correct?
Yes.
So the functions that this division will be handling, who handles those functions now?
Correct.
They handle it now.
Yep, this is stuff that we're already doing. We're just codifying it into its own division. And right now, Marianne Kelleher, who is acting as the supervisor of these functions, isn't a division director because it isn't its own division. So this is going to establish its own division officially within the department. The work that we're doing is going to continue to be the same.
Right.
Mary Ann Keller is going to be ahead of this, right?
Correct.
Thank God. I'm glad for her.
John, you want to add?
Yeah, Councilman, just to kind of express what we're doing here. So public engagement here, as we know, Health and Human Services partners with over 290 entities for food insecurity, health initiatives. And though it's managed through the director's office, sometimes they go directly through the divisions, or they're not necessarily sure where they should direct their partnerships. So this would be a one-stop shop for our public partners. And Marianne's been dealing with a lot of these partners already. So this would really just codify it into, a one source. And also for public information, they'll be able to know where to go to get any registrations, applications, and partnerships that they may need, from vaccinations to food insecurity, all the great initiatives that HHS is doing.
This division really became very strong when we went through COVID. All the information that she was sending out and where to go, I commend her. Yes, this existed way before, to be perfectly honest. I know it. Exactly. Any more questions? Next one, Margaret.
Okay, so we're on to Resolution 1030, item 22568, which is authorizing a memorandum of understanding between the city and Rutgers University to provide research analytics as part of the Aerofarms program. So,
Can I ask, so one question, can you update us on where the Aerofarms implementation stands? My recollection was there was going to be a number of sites, and I think some are up, but some are not.
right. It's my understanding, and I'm not 100% sure on this because this is sort of outside of my wheelhouse, but I think there's 2 operational sites right now, and we're in the planning stage to get more online, but I'm not 100% sure, but I'm very happy to get you a full update on that.
Yeah, I can give a little bit more there, Councilman. So we do have the partnership active with the Housing Authority. We are looking to do both more public-facing and then larger grow operations, not public-facing, but for volume of growth. We have a space designated in the Central Avenue building that we're looking to rebuild. Obviously, the partnership with the Medical Center now, and we've been in communication with the library as well. So we do have, I believe, 3 sites active now, and we're looking to expand to 6 by the end of the year.
Okay, great. And then, I'm happy to see the study. It was something that I'd asked Director Flanagan when this was first proposed to the council. When would we expect to see results from the study?
I'll have to get back to you with that one. I'm not sure what the timeline is, but I'm happy to get that information for you.
Right. And then the other piece of that too, which it has the, do we just have the letter from Blaustein? I think it's Blaustein for the study. But could we also get whatever, and I'm blanking on the correct term here, but whatever institutional review board that a university has that has to study, just obviously anytime you're doing a study with human beings, it's got to process the appropriate ethical steps. So we just want to make sure that Rutgers has signed off on that before that would be my request as well.
Absolutely. Yep.
Thanks.
I'm very happy to get that for you. I'm sure we'll have it by Wednesday's council meeting.
Thanks.
10:30, right?
Next one, Margaret.
No.
Next one.
Moving on to item 1031, Resolution 22569, authorizing agreements with each Hudson County municipality and the city of Jersey City to allow nurse case management of children who are diagnosed as lead burdened. This is a renewal of an MOU that we already had in place. It's part of our CLEP grant, the Childhood Lead Elimination Program, run through our Division of Environmental Health. And I believe this is for a term of either 7 or 8 years, which mirrors what the previous MOU was. So basically, if there's any municipality within Hudson County that identifies a case of childhood lead burdenment, we will be able to assign them or work with them to establish a nurse practitioner relationship just to make sure we can have the case evaluated and continue the relationship from there.
Sorry, if I can clarify. So if a child in, say, East Newark tests positive for lead poisoning, what is our role at that point?
So we will assign them a nurse practitioner to manage the case just from the municipal health department space.
Got it.
So that way each municipal health department in the whole county doesn't have to have their own lead program because
Right.
we're already funded through the state for that. We will help do case management for the rest.
And then is that funded through a grant? Do they pay us?
Yes, it's funded through the CLEP grant, which
Got
the last time I was here presented that grant.
Great. And how many right now, do you know how many children in Jersey City and Hudson County have tested positive for lead poisoning?
I don't, but I can definitely get that for you.
Thanks.
Margaret, question. The nurse practitioners that get assigned per county, do those nurse practitioners are part of that county, or there are nurse practitioners?
That I'm not sure of. This grant that we have that funds our lead case management program does fund multiple nurses. So I can get back to you on that. I am inclined to say that this is one of our nurses that we can do case management, but I'll double check.
ahead, Margaret.
Okay, 1032, Resolution 22570, authorizing HHS to apply for and accept grant funds from the state of New Jersey for HIV, STD, and TB services. So this is just our annual STD grant. It's $115,000, and it funds diagnostic investigative services.
Any questions? Go ahead, Margaret.
Last but certainly not least, item 1033, Resolution 22571, is a license agreement with NJCU so that we can rent their facility at 110 Culver Avenue for senior fitness classes, including an indoor walking track, swimming, and spin classes. This is something that we had been doing pre-pandemic, and we're finally getting back on track with it. So it's really exciting for us and the Division of Senior Affairs.
Is there any transportation for seniors to these classes?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm not sure off the top of my head. I'll ask Director Eccleston.
Great, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Yes, and Margaret?
Okay, Council President, just before we move on, I just want to record Councilperson Soleil present at 10:25 a.m., so we now have all 9 council members present at 10:25 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian?
Good morning, Council.
Good morning.
I have one resolution for your consideration, Agenda Item 10.94, Resolution 22-632. It's a resolution authorizing award of contract to TK Elevator for the purchase, delivery, installation of new elevator and replacement elevator here at City Hall. It is under the Omnia contract.
You gonna replace that elevator?
We're going to put a new one in the shaft that doesn't have one, and we're going to replace the existing problematic one.
That'll help us from not getting stuck.
Brian, what was the agenda number?
I'm sorry, Agenda 10.94.
So Council, just a little follow-up on that. We all know that there's been some extensive issues with the elevators here in City Hall. We're looking at...
years.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Rich. So we're looking to expand the shaft of the elevator system and implement new ones. This is part of the upgrades that we're looking to do as we bring it to the 4th floor and potentially build out the 4th floor of City Hall. In addition to that, we know that there are some public-facing offices that will be needing service while the elevators are out. So we're working on a plan to create small setups within the basement. So if there's any ADA issues, residents can come in the side of the building to, pay taxes, get information from the clerk's office. So we're mindful of that, and the elevators will be out for a few weeks as we get through that. So hopefully that'll only impact us, and operations will continue from that remote location.
Just be, if again, just we're confirming, so all of this is still in that same capital expenditure?
Correct.
That
Correct.
10 million
Yep.
for, okay.
Yep.
I'll make sure.
Just a little nuance to that. We do have about $3 million rough from FEMA reimbursements.
Okay.
So we're using those dollars first, and then we'll dig into the other one, and that's from the Sandy flooding within the basement.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Jeff? Jeff. Not Ed, not Chet Ed, not Chet.
Good morning, members of the council. I'm Jeff Enright from the Office of Budget Management, here for Resolution 22-539, Agenda Number 1001, authorizing emergency temporary appropriations. Until the budget's adopted, we need to continue to fund the operations of the city. This is just a continued effort to make sure those funds are available for the programs and departments.
What we waiting on with the budget? Explain it.
Yep, Vice President. So, sorry, Jeff. So everything's been sent down to the state. They're doing their review process. As we know, at this council meeting, we will have an open budget hearing on the introduced. Once the amendments come back from the state, we'll have Kyle and his team meet with the council president and staff again just to reiterate what we're looking to change or what the state has recommended, and then we'll potentially adopt at the following meeting. So potentially 2-3 weeks.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Come on down, Ed. Come on, Ed.
Good morning, Council.
Good morning.
I'm here for item 10.2, resolution 22.540, seeking for authorization to cancel portion of 2021 and 22 real estate taxes due to the fact that the tax court judgment that was rendered in 2018 wasn't reflected in the books for 2021 and 2022 tax year. The 2019 and 20 were covered by what we call the Freeze Act. Now, the book should have reflected the tax court judgment from 1,330,000 to 1,250,000 because there was nothing has been done to the property to drastically improve the value or change the value. That's why the freeze should have been applied throughout the years, covering 2022. The 2023 was already changed. The cancellation would cover an amount of $3,822 for both years, 2020 and 2021 tax year.
Question, guys? Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
Mallory.
Good morning, Council. Mallory Clark-Sokolov of City Planning. I have two ordinances today. And start with 3.1, which is a redevelopment plan for a property at 174 New York Avenue. This property has been studied and deemed as an area in need of rehabilitation as recently as 2019. This is just a plan moving forward that area in need of rehabilitation. The property currently is a surface parking lot that fronts both Newark Ave and First Street. Newark right where it meets Bay Street at that kind of point. And essentially the property's already been subdivided to create the lot within the redevelopment plan before you. And essentially the zoning is similar to that of the NC zoning in the city. So the zoning that we see already on Newark Ave, on Central Ave, and West Side Avenue. High level, the property would be subject to the inclusionary zoning ordinance. So there is a 15% affordable contribution as part of the redevelopment plan. And there is no parking permitted as the access would be from the Newark Ave Ped Mall. I don't know if you have any other specific questions for me. Happy to answer.
Yeah, I do. And there's sort of also for the law department a little bit, so I wanted to sort of put them together. I'd seen the version of the draft and the feedback I'd given on that draft, which was, the neighborhood commercial makes sense given where it's being built, and it makes sense to have some development there. However, if the JCRA puts this out to bid and only requires, because you could do it all commercial, we wouldn't net any affordable housing units. So if a developer says, hey, yes, it applies IZO, but if I'm just building commercial, I'm just going to do offices or whatever, we wouldn't get any units. And so what I wanted to ask is if we could create a minimum standard here, and it's a small development here, but something along the lines of 5 units of affordable housing in this development, so that if they choose to make all of the stories 2 through 5 commercial, that we would at least get a couple of affordable units out of it. And I had provided that feedback prior to the plan coming here, and so I wanted to see if that's something we can do.
Let me circle back with Tanya on that, and I can get you an answer in the next day or two.
Okay, great. Second question was, can we make a requirement in the plan that the redevelopment agency put this out to bid for RFP? I know that the redevelopment agency can designate a developer without doing that process, but I would certainly feel more comfortable if everyone has a fair and open process to go out to bid. And I want to know if we as the council can require that in the redevelopment plan.
I do know that that was the envisioned path forward was an RFP for the property, but I'll again circle back with Tanya and get you an answer in the next day or two.
Sure, I just want to make sense. And last but not least, I know that the vision here is to just develop, at least initially, the kind of alleyway, if you will, and not the surface parking lot. But if in the future someone does want to develop the surface parking lot, would the JCRA have to come back to the council for any approval, or could they simply put that out for bid and develop it without coming back to the council?
They would have to come back because we haven't applied any zoning to that property, so unless they redeveloped it
Got it.
under the current.
So the zoning only applies to the alleyway, it doesn't apply to
Correct,
the...
yeah. Since that subdivision has already
Great.
been perfected, it's only relevant to that property.
Wonderful, thank you. Those are my questions, and if we get feedback before, Wednesday, it'd be great. Thanks.
Anybody else before I move on? Okay, the next is item 3.2. It's an ordinance adopting amendments to the Tidewater Basin redevelopment plan. And this is kind of a two-prong amendment before you. The first of which is to just add some language to the existing historic buffer zone, which is a townhouse zone in the redevelopment plan. And what that permits is up to 3-unit townhouses in a portion that sits between kind of the higher-rise development you see in Liberty Harbor North and the historic Paul's Hook zone. And this actually creates the opportunity for a mid-rise multifamily development that would still comply with the density standard or implied density standard of the historic buffer zone. It just allows for this to happen on larger lots. So there's a minimum requirement of a 2,800 square foot lot, which is larger than what you would see in the historic zones. And it permits the same density, as I said, and would be subject to IZO if it were to meet that 15-unit threshold that exists in the IZO. So if it's a smaller project coming in, it would not trigger the IZO. The second part of this is a new affordable housing overlay zone. So this is a larger project envisioned, and there is also some representation here from that development team, should you have any questions. But I'll just take you through a kind of quick high-level overview of what this zone is. So it does not remove the existing base zoning for the site, so anything can move forward with the zoning today, but in order to unlock the new zoning under this overlay, they do have to meet the 15% affordable in compliance with the inclusionary zoning ordinance. At a maxed out project, that would equate to roughly about 60 units of affordable housing on this site. And we've introduced a series of principal permitted uses on these sites that are not available today. And the project really envisions one base, so a base of about 6 stories, 70 feet, and 2 towers on top of that base, one fronting more to Sussex Street, which is across the street from the Lenox, if you're familiar, and the other fronting more to Grand Street. They have differing permitted maximum heights, the one fronting Sussex Street slightly lower, so that it transitions more to the historic district, and the one fronting Grand Street a little bit higher to mirror what you see in the Liberty Harbor North redevelopment plan. There's a minimum lot size of 30,000 square feet, so this is a larger development, as I said, and we have added a couple of standards for green building and green infrastructure on site, appropriate setbacks to create sidewalks, and appropriate step backs so that the towers are stepped back further off that base and increase light and air. So those step backs are a little bit more cumbersome or a little more generous as they respond to the historic district to give a little bit more light and air and breathing room to the lower development area, and a little less severe on the other side fronting Liberty Harbor North. There are 2 curb cuts permitted, only one of which is on Grand Street. The applicant did provide a traffic study, which I believe you had in your packets, as well as a presentation that they presented to the planning board. So both of the items that I have discussed with you here today were presented at the June 28th, 2022 planning board and recommended unanimously. So we do have Ed calling here on behalf of the applicant to kind of talk through some more points about the overlay district project if you have any other questions. But if you have questions from me, we can go ahead with those.
Go ahead, James.
So on the tower setbacks that are written here, have there been any changes since the June planning board meeting?
There have not.
Okay. And could you just sort of briefly describe the density that's being proposed here?
So the density, again, with the inclusionary zoning ordinance, the building's really regulated by bulk, as we call it, which is similar to how that works in the NC district as well, which is we've given the setback and step back standards and a maximum FAR for each tower, which are both envisioned as residential. So the max FAR of 9.5 will really dictate the applicable or available envelope of what those towers look like. And then the density just is done by bulk then. And what that allows us to do with the affordable housing overlay is maximize the number of affordable units created.
Got it. And just on the first piece, on the historic buffer piece, just to make sure I'm on the same page, that is not the Bellevue's project? This is simply...
That is the Bellevue's site.
So does that also, just I want to make clear what's in here, does that allow for the additional height that they were requesting, or is it simply changing the lot sizes?
It's simply changing the lot sizes and applying a density standard. So if you look at the language, there are no changes proposed to the max height.
Got it. So and can you just confirm what the max height is in the
I
historic
think it
buffer?
comes to about 4 stories there.
Okay. I probably have a few more questions, but I'll pause now for.
Anyone else? Go ahead, James.
Okay, I can bring up Ed Calling.
Come on, Ed. You got like 5 minutes.
I'll try to be brief. I think Mallory covered all the.
Yes, she was. She was very thorough.
Yeah, she covered.
But we didn't want to waste your time sitting here, so.
Okay, thank you. Well, part of the whole process when you do a redevelopment plan amendment is what the planning board does is look at the master plan. And that's part of what I was presenting when I appeared at the planning board. And the city recently did a housing element. And so we looked at that. And generally, across the board, it's known that the city needs more affordable housing generally. However, the master plan also specifically addressed downtown and Journal Square as being areas where it's a little bit more needed, so to speak. It also brought up the fact that in downtown, because there's been so much redevelopment over the last several decades, the opportunities to provide affordable housing are lesser because a lot of redevelopments already occurred. So we thought that this area, this particular site, which is at the corner of Grand Street and Marin, and also extends through to Sussex, could provide that opportunity. So what we did was we wrote the amendment in a way that you would have to provide 15% affordable housing, completely consistent with the IZO, 50% low, 50% moderate, and all that sort of stuff. So we figure we're pretty much consistent with the master plan in that regard. The master plan land use element, which was also recently adopted by the planning board, addressed the idea that in downtown, the height typology is a little bit different. Greenville, West Side, the heights are more generally uniform at a lower height. But in downtown and in Journal Square again, you have these varying heights, and there was a recommendation to have these sort of transitional types of ways to address the heights and step backs and things. So in this particular case, as Mallory pointed out, there is a historic buffer strip that's still there, and that'll provide a step down to about 45 feet before you get to the historic district. Also, the taller part of the building on Sussex Street is pushed an additional 15 feet off the edge of the base, which is a lower rise, and more towards Marin, and it's pretty much the same height as the two buildings to the south. Right. Facing Grand Street, again, you have the lower base, and that upper portion of the building, which is set at 26 stories, is pushed 50 feet, 50, off from where the base is. So that's a pretty significant push off to the west, and that's more consistent with the heights you see in Liberty Harbor North. So we felt from a master plan consistency perspective, we were both addressing the specific needs for additional affordable housing downtown, and also the idea of trying to provide transition in terms of how the heights were and how the buildings would be stepped back. And so I think that we've done that. And then the other point would be about the affordable housing. Again, it's 15%. As the building has been kind of conceptually massed today, that looks like it's about 400 housing units. So 60 of those would be the affordable. And again, completely consistent with the IZO in terms of 50-50 low and mod. There would also be a percentage, I think it's 13%, which would be very low. So we're trying to hit all those markers.
Sir, can I ask you something? What is your name and who do you work for?
My name is Edward Colling. I'm a professional planner. I work for a firm known as Dresner Robin. We're based at 1 Evertrust Plaza. And I've been working with the owner of the property at 177 Grand Street in trying to develop an amendment that would, well, do what I just described.
Right. James?
There's a couple other technical questions here. There's been a back and forth with the developer and the community groups, and I just wanted to see where things stood. Some of their questions that they had asked or suggestions were to amend, I think, the plan to not have, to make sure the development meets the current historic buffer district, which obviously is different than the transitional zone that extends out. Have any changes to that effect been put in place into the amendment?
No. If this overlay is utilized, it would overlay the historic.
On top of the historic buffer, not just the transition zone. Yeah, I understand that. And there's a suggestion about a couple of the different setbacks, and I know that the I don't know, the platform, if you will, is going to be lower in the designs. There have been suggestions around, I think, a 10-foot buffer between some of the towers as opposed to a 3-foot buffer, but none of those buffers have changed at all.
No, the 3 feet is only between the low-rise portion and the building adjacent. The higher-rise portion is actually a minimum of 50 feet away. Sure. So that might have been a misunderstanding when the community was reading what the setback really was.
Sure, I mean, they're professional architects, so I understood it. I think they understood it, but it's probably the confusion is on my end of getting the game of telephone, so you can blame me on that front. Yeah, I think a couple other things, and I know some of these things are generally covered at site plan review, but obviously it doesn't come back to the council, once it's through the RDP. Do we have a plan or a commitment on trash? And where's trash going to be stored, and how are we going to deal with that?
I don't think they've gotten to that point yet, but from the conceptual plans that I've seen, they do have a garage, parking areas within the lower part of the building, and my understanding is that all is going to be self-contained within the building.
Got it. Yeah, and then similarly on traffic and package deliveries, obviously that corner is as exists today, is a very congested corner.
Yes, and I think that the developer has been very aware of that. He had the traffic study done. Yeah. We've had discussions with staff at City Planning, and the idea is to have only the one driveway on Grand, I believe there's a one-way in on Marin, so that you wouldn't impact. Grand Street really is one of the major ways in and out of Paulus Hook. So the idea would be not to impact that with traffic backing up, getting in, but rather it would be for an exit.
Got it, understood. And then the last thing I just wanted to bring up, and then I wanted to add a just quick thought, was in a prior amendment to the redevelopment plan, not codified in the redevelopment plan, but discussed at the planning board, was, I think, about $150,000 to go to Paulus Hook Park, the Four Corners Park. And I think for a variety of reasons it was never executed on, which wasn't, I think it was the way in which it was discussed. But I think, I'd still be interested in making sure that if we're going to amend this plan a second time, that money that was originally discussed and is in the planning board transcripts in 2015 is ultimately given to Paulus Hook Park, because it's a park that we've been looking to do repairs on for a long time, and we have 3 corners that haven't been touched in a very, very long period of time.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of those discussions, but I am very aware of that park.
Sure. So, I think just briefly on my end, obviously we really want the affordable housing in downtown, and we understand that it's, this is the first IZO project to move forward. So I don't think that, certainly speaking for myself, have no interest in seeing this project not move forward. But I think some of these things that were brought up, the historic buffer zone, the tower buffers, the trash plan, the vehicle plan, the Paulus Hook Park, I'd love to get those details, really sorted out before second reading. And if it doesn't get sorted out before second reading, I'd probably have to take the initiative to propose amendments myself. So, I think, again, we want the affordable housing, understands the first IZO project, but I think this attention to detail matters, and the problem is it doesn't come back to the council. If the site plan came back to the council, it'd be a different story, but it doesn't. So.
I understand, and I will take that message back.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Mallory. Michael from Infrastructure. Oh, okay. I know.
Oh, no.
Morning, Council. Mike Manzella, Transportation Planning. I have one resolution to speak on today. It's item number 10.96, Resolution 22-634. It's a resolution authorizing the use of competitive contracting to award a concession contract related to the operation of ferry service and the maintenance of the ferry terminal facilities at Port Liberté. As you're aware, council adopted the ordinance back in June to acquire the property. The property conveyance documents are in progress. Once the city takes ownership of the property, the existing agreement between New York Waterway and the existing property owner expires in April. So we're looking to do a resolution now to start the RFP process so the city can award a contract per the local public contract law come April.
Any questions?
What's this going to cost?
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. Jennifer?
Good morning, Council President, council members.
Good morning.
I have one ordinance and two resolutions to present today. The first one, Ordinance 2278-311. This ordinance is to make several intersections throughout the city all-way stops. Traffic studies have been done for all of these intersections, and it's recommended that we convert these intersections into all-way stops for traffic operations and safety purposes.
Any questions?
Just want to say thank you for this because Summit Avenue is, this is so sorely needed for Summit Avenue. There's been so many accidents, so I'm hoping the all-way stops does mitigate this situation. And thank you for bringing this before us.
You're welcome, and I agree. The next one is Resolution 22-599, 1061. This resolution is to extend the contract for Gen Electric for another 3 months while we put together the bid and hopefully award a new contract before the 3 months is up. And this contract is for $350,000. The next resolution is Resolution 22-600, 1062. This resolution is to award a contract to statewide striping for the roadway striping program for the city, the maintenance program. The statewide is the lowest responsible bid for the amount of $2,027,451.20.
Any questions? Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Paul?
Good morning, Council. I have a bunch, so I'm going to jump around, but I've kind of bulked the ones that are similar together. So if we could start at Resolution 22-594, which is agenda number 1056. This is a resolution authorizing the renewal of an open-end contract with Power Concrete for the 2022 on-call concrete and ADA ramps. We have 3 that are similar, that they are renewals, so 1-year renewals on previous contracts that we awarded last year. This is the first of the third for Power Concrete. We also have a similar thing for Murray, which is the speed humps, and another one for paving with Smith-Sondy. This is a new process where we did an option to renew 2 1-year cycles because we continuously put these out to bid every year, and we figured it would save the city money to do an option to renew, and we'd work with contractors that were doing a good job. If they weren't, we can not renew the contract. All 3 of these options to renew have done a terrific job. So this is Power Concrete, the first one, and it is for almost $2 million, 1.969. Any questions?
I do have one quick question, Director. When they redo ADA curves, to what extent are they able to do bump outs, rain gardens, things like that as part of this program?
So we did start to do some bump outs and some rain gardens and such throughout the city and just minimal locations because so much of this contract is just in preparation of paving. We have to do the ADA compliant curb ramps, and that keeps this contract really, really busy. So when there is a little bit of downtime, we do things like West Side and Fulton was our second bioswale bump out that we've done in the city. So we do try to piece that in, but next year we may do a completely separate contract that deals with specifically what you're talking about, Councilman.
Would we be able to, and this, I understand the speed and we're moving towards the system, would you be able to send the council a list of all the intersections and ramps that are going to be handled under this contract? And maybe there's like a couple, one or two that we particularly know would really use a bump out. So if we're spending the money to redo the concrete at an intersection and we know it's dangerous, I get it, we can't do it for everyone, but maybe there's one or two we can really focus on.
Yeah, and a big part of that too is when you do build out the hardscape bump outs, a lot of which comes with a lot of drainage design and a lot of changing the landscape for the drainage, where it's not just putting in concrete. So there's additional kind of design that goes with it, and then there's additional drainage and other items that really this contract doesn't fit perfectly. So again, I think it's best that we do something more specific and catered and tailored specifically to that. But we can definitely get you all of the ramps that we've done. And another big thing is we typically do these bump outs in paint and delineators, as you know, first, because it does, number one, see if the layout works and is effective, and number two, can be done at a low cost. To be done, all over the city prior to doing the more concrete, higher price, higher design option. Okay. The second one is the renewal of another open-end contract, and this one is with Murray Paving. It is Resolution 22-602, and that's Agenda 10.64. And this is a similar thing. This is the option to renew the 1 year. And this will be our first renewal for this contract. Murray Paving has done an excellent job doing speed humps throughout this year. They have just finished their first allotment, so the money is coming at a perfect timing. And we'd like to continue doing speed humps as those requests continue to come in.
Paul, question.
Yes.
So with the speed humps, are they a certain amount of heights? Because we heard earlier that the public safety director said that we do not have the Pierce company, fire trucks made that were from the Pierce company. That company no longer exists, so we have to hire out of contract. So with that said, most of the fire trucks that are hitting these speed humps are the Pierce fire trucks. And is there any way where we can make sure, I'm not sure if the speed hump is at a certain height, but their undercarriage is being destroyed and we're having to pay for that.
Yep. Absolutely, Councilman. So we've changed the design over the years to be more conscious of that. We've done a number of things to kind of be more conscious of that. We've done a lot of advanced warning in terms of having additional signage prior to actually coming up on the speed hump. We've done advanced striping so that people know the speed hump is coming with the chevron striping. And we've made sure that each one was 3 to 4 inches in height. And we do have somebody out there that is checking them. In the past previous years, we have had a few issues where they were too high and we had the contractor correct them. But like I said, this contractor has really done an excellent job. Of the, nearly 100 they did, I think we had an issue where one was above 4 inches. But they've been very, very consistent with their product, and they've been following our standard procedure, which is set with that in mind.
Go ahead, Paul.
Okay. The third of this set is Resolution 22-602, and this is agenda number 10.64. Excuse me. We already did that one. It's Resolution 22-624, and that's agenda number 10.86. This is the third of which for Smith-Sondy paving. It is about $2.3 million. And again, the contractor has done a terrific job for us. We've been paving throughout the city. With this contractor this year, I believe we're about 13 or 14 miles in this year. Our goal is 15 to 20 miles per year. So we're definitely going to hit that goal by year's end. And this contract will ensure that we continue to put more miles of fresh pavement in Jersey City.
Director, if I can just ask, and we were emailing about this, but you know, it's my understanding that you guys have worked to do a mile in each ward. Is that still the commitment for this year?
I'll have to talk to the department director. I know there was a couple concerns with some council members wanted to determine the amount that was paved by the size of the ward. So that discussion was had. And I don't know exactly if we're going to do it exactly 1 mile or cater it to the amount of lane miles per ward. But I will talk to my director about that and get back to you, Councilman.
Sure. I mean, I think there's flexibility on fair systems in place, but what we can't have happen is what happened in 2021, where none of the wardy roads were repaved, and we can speculate as to why that happened. And we're getting into August and haven't had any of the wardy roads repaved for 2022 yet. So I'm concerned that a repeat of last year is going to occur, and I want to make sure that doesn't happen.
Understood. And we just ran out of time last year. We did 20 plus miles, and again, I apologize that we weren't able to do it every ward by the end of the year, but we started with your ward and got those miles done this year, and I understand your concern.
Okay, thanks.
Go ahead, Paul.
Sure. The next one is Resolution 22-587, and that's agenda number 10.49. And this is one of 2 resolutions for DOT applications. This one is authorizing the submission of the grant application and execution of a grant agreement with Njdot for the CC Drive, Christopher Columbus Drive Improvement Project for the fiscal year 2023. So this is a municipal aid grant. In previous years, we've done Central Avenue. We've done a lot of municipal aid stretches. This year, we're choosing to do Christopher Columbus Drive.
Go ahead, Paul.
The next one is Resolution 22-598, and it is agenda number 10.60. This is the resolution authorizing the submission of a grant application and execution of a grant agreement with Njdot for the Manhattan Avenue Bikeway project. This is a $500,000+ grant that we are hoping to get from Njdot to improve the bikeway along Manhattan Avenue from Mercedes to Green Street.
What?
They said what?
They don't belong in the same.
That woke everybody up.
Excuse me. I apologize. There were 2 grants kind of combined in one on this. It is Tunnelly to Palisade. Excuse me. And that'll have to do with the delineators, painting, some asphalt restoration, and just improving the bike lanes along that corridor.
Paul, have you spoken to the people on Manhattan Avenue about this?
Our division and our department will. I don't know how far we've come along with that. Maybe Mike can discuss that piece of it.
Yeah, because a lot of these bike lanes, especially Newark Avenue, is a disaster going down the hill. And I think you've got to start consulting the people that live in the area about these bike lanes.
Agreed, Councilman. This is just a grant application. If we get the grant, we'll go through the full design process, do a full public engagement with the community before we do any.
Manhattan Avenue is divided between Ward C and Ward D, all right? And the other thing is, I want Newark Avenue changed. That bus stop stops there, backs up traffic all the way up. Those cones are all the way out there. There's been 3 or 4 accidents already on that corner because of those bike lanes. Something has got to be adjusted there. And the people in that area are really upset about what's going on. I'll speak to you about it in the future, but you're going to do something about Newark Avenue.
Move the bus.
I live on Manhattan Avenue.
Move the bus stop, right?
Yeah, no, the bus stop, the cones out there, gonna come out of Waldo Avenue, you have the bikes coming down, a woman almost smashed into a bike the other day. Not one woman, several people have. And it's, whoever planned this really is wacky, all right?
Meet with him, please.
We will.
Okay.
We will. And like we said, nothing will happen on Manhattan Avenue without sufficient meetings and approvals. This is just an application to potentially obtain funding.
Well, Paul, nobody consulted me about what was done on Newark Avenue, and I'm taking the heat from the people on Waldo Avenue, Chestnut Street, and that whole area. And I'm not taking it out on you, Paul.
Understood, and we'll meet with you about that, and we will discuss that, Councilman.
Thank you, Paul. Please do.
Next up, we have Ordinance 22-077, Agenda Number 3.10. And this is an ordinance accepting the dedication of the Jersey Avenue Bridge over the Morris Canal. This was always part of the agreement and the memorandum of agreement between the city and the Turnpike Authority. Once the construction was done, the city would accept the dedication of the bridge.
Any questions?
All right, next up is Resolution 22-603, Agenda Number 10.65. This is a resolution authorizing the award of a professional service from Colliers Engineering to design for the implementation of the O&M, the Operations and Maintenance Plan, for the remainder of 2022 through the first quarter of 2023 of PJP landfill site. This has been consistent. Colliers has done this duty, and they've done a very good job for years and years at this point. DEP is very, very happy with the work that Colliers is doing on the operation and maintenance of this particular site, and they're following all DEP standards. Next one is Resolution 22-604, Agenda 10.66. This is the resolution authorizing the award of a professional service contract to French and Perillo to prepare plans and specifications for the West Side Avenue Improvement Project. This is a municipal aid grant that we received. So hopefully this year we finish 4 years of municipal aid funding. We've been a bit behind now for a long time, the city, and we're finally getting caught up. Hopefully we will finish Central Avenue, Grand, and 2 years of Caven Point. We're making great progress on Caven Point, and then we will be completely caught up to start West Side Avenue on their municipal aid grant with the help of French and Perillo doing the design and approval from DOT.
Paul, is this, so after the redistricting and I lost part of my West Side Avenue Ward A section, there was discussion about, I guess, installing bike lanes on West Side Avenue that I wasn't privy to, but that Councilwoman Prinzeri looped me in on. And we asked that we have a conversation with residents on West Side and have a community meeting like we've done in other areas. Does this contract include that, or is this different design?
It does. So part of this contract does include community meetings, and you will be consulted with and be a part of the design from the beginning to end. They have not started the design at all. There's a loose application in terms of the streetscape that West Side has, so the limits of this DOT grant are set, but the design is not set in stone at this point. We just know that it's a streetscape. It will involve paving, striping, sidewalk, new lighting, things of that nature, but in terms of layout and details, we will consult with you and come up with a plan that the community is backing.
Okay. Do you know how soon you expect to, I guess, start that process?
So we hope to have something out by the end of winter. to DOT so that they can approve it. This way we, best case scenario, can start construction and put it out to bid early next year. So this will allow the consultant to get started on the initial phases and the survey and begin discussing with the community and things of that nature.
Anyone else? Go ahead, Paul. Next one.
All right. So the next four are all environmental accesses. So Bob Cavanaugh is here to represent Honeywell, and he may be also able to answer some of the questions and field some of the concerns. But Resolution 22-601, Agenda 10.63, is the first of which. It's a resolution authorizing the remediation and access agreement between Honeywell and 207 Vorst Realty, which is the private entity, and the City of Jersey City, permitting Honeywell to perform environmental remediation activities on chromium-contaminated properties, known as Site 188.
Any questions? No. Next one.
The next one is very similar. This is an amendment. It is Resolution 22-633, Agenda 10.95. It's authorizing a second amendment of a licensee and access agreement with Honeywell to perform environmental investigation and remediation activities on certain chromium-contaminated sites within the city.
Any questions? No. Next one.
All right. Ordinance 22-079, Agenda 3.12. This is authorizing the execution of an easement agreement between the City of Jersey City, JCMUA, and the Public Service Gas and Electric Company, PSENG, authorizing PSENG to operate and maintain an underground electric duct bank on property that includes the city's water system aqueducts.
Any questions? Next.
The last one I have for you is Ordinance 22-076, Agenda 3.9. It's an ordinance authorizing the imposition of restrictions on Meadow Street, located east of Duffield Avenue, for PSENG to perform soil remediation at this location.
That's it.
Thank you, Council.
IT, come on, Vic. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
Good morning, Council.
Good morning.
Division of IT has two resolutions. Resolution number 22-554, Agenda Item 1016. This is a resolution authorizing the award to Diligent Corporation for the iCompass system in the amount of $28,788.
Any question on IT?
What was that agenda number again? Vivek?
10.16.
Agenda 1016.
Thank you.
Go ahead, next one.
The next one is Agenda Item 1017, Resolution number 22-555. This is a resolution authorizing award of contract to Millennium Communications Group. This is to upgrade our core switches at the City Hall Data Center
Oh.
in the amount of $57,803.26.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Eric?
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's my pleasure to present item 10.77, Resolution 22-615, resolution authorizing the City of Jersey City to accept the grant award for the NJLM Educational Foundation, Inc. and Walmart to support this Jersey City Board of Education's connectivity program. This resolution will allow the city to accept a $10,000 award for the purchase of Chromebooks for the Gerald J. Dines Regional Day School.
Oh, okay. Any questions? Thank you, Eric. Dinah? morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
I have one ordinance. It is 3.5 on the calendar. It's ordinance 22072. The city has had an ordinance since 2018 requiring that foreclosed properties be registered. The state recently passed some legislation that changed the way municipalities can change the requirements for these registrations. So our fees have to be changed, and certain definitions of when a property is defined to have been in foreclosure has to be registered. So this ordinance simply amends our current ordinance to be consistent with what the state law allows.
Gotcha. Any questions?
Director, excuse my ignorance here, but do we have any, I don't know all the details. I understand we were working with the county to get the system, but they're not.
So that system, that contract was terminated because of a case in the fall of last year. And that is what resulted in, I believe that's what resulted in the state's passing limits on how these registries work.
Got it. And so once we pass this law, we'll be in compliance with the state, and then we can continue to collect. Got it. And do we have a rough projection of how much we would expect to get out of the foreclosure registry?
I can give you the figures from the last few years'
Sure.
annual reports. I can email those to you. I don't have them in my head. It's I don't even want to.
Yeah, just email is perfect.
The fees went up when we started the program with the county, not necessarily because we were still collecting the same amount of money, but that company, ProChamps, was able to get a better list of the properties in foreclosure. But we now have that list as a starting point, and as you know, foreclosures last for many years. So we will use that list as a starting point, and then the clerk's office gets letters as new foreclosures come online. So I anticipate that we will have a pretty accurate list, and that the fees will be consistent with what they were before.
Thank you, Dinah.
Dinah, can I ask you something?
Sure.
I got another call last night from a senior citizen at 2 St. Paul's whose rent is being raised by $450. I think I spoke to you about a month and a half ago. Is the city doing anything about what's happening over at 2 St. Paul's?
So it's unclear to me what the status of that building is, and the waterfront project is involved in meeting with those tenants and organizing.
Well, if the waterfront project's involved, evidently they're not doing the right job, because I'm getting call after call after call. And you're dealing with senior citizens that some of them get $1,000 a month Social Security. They have no money, and they're raising the rent $400, $500, $600.
Okay, if you will email me that information, I will again ask the waterfront project what the status is.
Because this firm took it over. I don't know where they're from, but they come to Jersey City, and they're hurting a lot of people, and it's a disgrace. All right, Dinah.
Thank you, Dinah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Deja.
Deja vu.
Good morning, Council. On behalf of Community Development, I do have a number of resolutions today for you. The first one is going to be 10.34. We're requesting a mortgage discharge for the property located at 358 New York Avenue in Jersey City. This homeowner executed a HORP mortgage for repairs made to their property. And as stated, upon the 5th year after signing the mortgage, it shall be forgiven in its entirety. Having met in all the obligations, the city is obligated to discharge this mortgage.
Any questions?
Okay, for 10.35 is also a request to execute a mortgage discharge for the property located at 68 Boswick Avenue. This was also a homeowner who received HORP funding in their property in the amount of $24,900. And upon the 10th year after signing the mortgage, it shall be forgiven in its entirety, and all the conditions under this mortgage have been satisfied, and the city is obligated to discharge this mortgage.
Next one.
Okay, 10.36 is also another request to discharge a mortgage for the property located at 1209 Summit Avenue in Jersey City. The grounds for this one is a little bit different. The mortgage was done under a choice program subsidy guideline and is an emerging market unit. The city provided a subsidy in the amount of $83,333 towards the development of the unit. The owner did sign a repayment mortgage securing a payment of recapture note on March 20th in 2012. All the terms and conditions, including the new owner that is taking over the property, will occupy the home for 1 year as its primary residence, and therefore all of the obligations and conditions of this mortgage are been met, and the city is obligated to discharge this mortgage. Okay. For 10.37, we are requesting the execution of a mortgage subordination for the property located at 391-413 Montgomery Street and 451-489 Montgomery Street. We are requesting that we subordinate the city's affordable housing trust fund mortgage that was dated on 12/11/2015, so that the project, also known as the Brunswick Estates, which is located in Ward F, can move forward with securing financing for the purpose of upgrading 131 units and the common areas. I would just like to note the units are affordable housing for households earning up to 60% of the local AMI.
Any questions? Okay. Next one.
Right. The next resolution is 10.38, and we are requesting the acceptance and execution of a grant between the City of Jersey City and the State of New Jersey's Department of Community Affairs for our funding for our Community Services Block Grant for fiscal year 2022 with an allocation amount of $342,611.
Any questions? Next.
Okay, I also have 10.39, and we are requesting that the city authorize the execution of an affordable housing trust fund contract and for a 95.5 recapture funds contract with Dorsimus Corporation for the apartments at St. Lucy's, a new construction project located at 610-620 Grove Street, where the City of Jersey City's DCD will subsidize the construction of 15 affordable single-room occupancy units for households that are at 50 cent or below of our local AMI. The Affordable Housing Trust Fund award will be in the amount of $1,975,000. The 95.5 recapture funds will be in the amount of $200,000, and they have also secured a private loan.
Any questions? This is
Yeah,
Lucy's.
Director, mentioned this when we talked the other day. This is all for construction, correct? Not for the operating of the units.
That is correct.
You know, this was part of the St. Lucy's rezoning that a number of the council members were on the council when that happened. And, you know, when that happened, I was not under the impression that the city was going to commit any funds to the construction of the shelter. That the sort of the way that the project was envisioned was the developer in that case got a, you know, massive upzoning across the street, I think 400 some odd units. And the city, we got 3% affordable in that building, and the reason it was only 3% was they were constructing the shelter across the street, and we had asked for them to include an extra story with the 15 units. And so before we commit, you know, $2 million of city funds of the construction, I'd just like to, you know, I know you were in this position at that time, but you know, where are we with that? And you know, because I was definitely not under the impression that we were going to put our own funds into that construction project.
Okay. I feel like if pleases the council, this is something that we can table and have a further discussion, but I know that this is an urgent project and construction is underway, and this is for the 5th floor of this property, so we really do need to move forward with executing these funds for the construction of this space.
I mean, I would feel much more comfortable pulling it. I mean, I personally can't vote for this unless I have a sit down with the developer, with the city, and say, you know, what happened? What was I not sitting in the room, and were we not understanding the same thing?
No, that was discussion. They got more height.
Yeah.
That was a discussion.
So
now they're asking for fun. Carmen, you was here at the time. You got to add something?
I was just going to say I'll see if we can get Carmen, but
Right. Carmen, do you remember?
Yes, so community development and the city's funding was always in this project. I think you also have to understand that the county pulled out their funding for it. And so what Deja and the team is doing a feasibility to make sure that the project is viable for the funding. So
What happened to county? Well, I couldn't hear that.
So about 2 years ago, the county pulled out their funding and the capital stack for this project. So the funding and the commitment of our meetings with you, Councilman Solomon, and before, community development was always going to fund this project.
Okay, but does that include the private development across the street?
The street?
Yeah, they have to build the shelter before they can build the St. Lucy's private development. But I think part of the thought process was, again, that is a very profitable development, so that was going to fund the construction of the shelter to a degree, right?
Correct, but again, when you're in the proposal phases and the steps of what needs to kind of sort of underwrite the project, yeah, I think you need to look at the pro forma again so that you can understand the financing to it and what the team is doing now in order to carry the project.
I think it'd be helpful if we provide a memo of the timeline and kind of the steps and inception documents, so we could take a look at this. And if we can't get it done this week, we'll entertain table it at the council's request.
And just to be clear, I mean, the thing I would be looking for is something in writing that shows before the council voted on it, this was always the vision. And it's possible I'm wrong and I missed it, in which case, show me the writing before it came to the council and I can say, hey, this was always envisioned. I just don't want us to put it in if that wasn't what was envisioned when it came here.
So understand with the home grant and the financing, we always have to do feasibility.
Sure. Okay.
Just would also like to note one thing, this is Affordable Housing Trust Fund dollars, so there was a meeting of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund who did vote to approve giving these funds towards this project.
Of course, I mean, we want St. Lucie Shelter. We know the urgency of it, so that's why we voted for it. I know that. But I thought, in the beginning, it was that they would get more height. And I mean, like, we could have missed it. We do see a lot of, different projects, but I thought basically it was more height and it would cover. But I know things has changed. I know COVID happened, stuff like that. But we just want an explanation pretty much because we do need that, those units down there at St. Lucie Shelter because of the conditions that the people have to deal with down there.
Okay, I will expedite getting that information to council as soon as possible.
And also, not completely related, but semi-related with regards to the 95.5. All of those properties are on Pacific and the back half, I think that's Whitening. It's very disheartening to see that a developer actually acquired 2 of those 95.5 properties, knocked it down, and is essentially going to build a semi-tower down there when residents who pretty much were finagled into, or at least they didn't understand the exact extent of how the 95.5 program was working, or subsequently being punished, if you will. Several of them were trying to move and sell their property, and then the information came about that they can't do it. So I think, I don't know if it's something we can do to try to, I guess, help them out, seeing that one developer was able to acquire 2. So I would imagine the floodgates will begin to open and other individuals will try to do the same.
I will definitely.
Could you meet with him so we can find out exactly what he's talking about here, because he got a concern with his constituents?
Absolutely. My doors are always open and I'm willing to meet. And just a note in reference to this project, this is just a discussion of the recapture funds that are already in the city's possession that we can continue to put forward and use for the development of additional affordable housing.
Okay.
I also have Resolution 10.40 for you, and this is to authorize the submission of our fiscal year 2022 Community Services Block Grant application to the State of New Jersey's Department of Community Affairs.
Just want to thank you on the presentations you gave to the council and, the information and, how well researched and vetted everything was, and kudos. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilman. I appreciate that feedback and look forward to continue my informative one-on-one meetings with all members of the council. I also have for you today Resolution 10.42, and this is something that the division is certainly very proud of. We are requesting your authorization to increase down payment assistance for our Golden Neighborhoods Home Ownership Program, also known as our First-Time Home Buyers Program, from a maximum assistance allowable from $40,000 to a new maximum of $150,000.
Do we have a good market plan to make sure the public knows about this program?
The office is strategically working to make that happen. We have flyers, we have revamped our website, and we're sharing all this information with community partners. We will be sure to share it with all members of the council as well, as we appreciate your assistance in getting the word out. We will be, if the council sees fit, to approve this resolution, moving forward with opening up our application prior to moving forward with a lottery process for selecting applicants that have met threshold.
Okay. Any questions? Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Shirley?
Good morning, Council President, council members. I'm here to talk about two resolutions. First one is Agenda 10.12, Resolution 22-550. It's for NW Financial Services, Financial Group. It's for financial services in connection with the authorization and issuance of our bond sales that were issued in June 15, 2022. In the amount of $119,935.
Questions?
Both for this one and the next one, I mean, where in the budget are we going to pay for these claims?
Out of our capital account.
Sorry, Councilman, it's part of our issuance cost, so it's part of the bond proceeds, zero impact on the budget until it hits the debt service.
And are we going to do contracts with these folks?
Yeah, that's exactly why. So for bond counsel, we're issuing an RFQ, and for financial services, it's an RFP, so we'll see that in September with the council.
Okay, because I was good.
The second one is Agenda 10.13, Resolution 22-551. That's also for the bond counsel for the same exact thing, the authorization issuance of the same bonds that were issued in June 15th. And we're looking to award both of these sometime in October.
Okay. Thank you, Shirley.
Thank you.
Maynard?
Good morning, Council President and council members. I have 6 items in front of you. They're item numbers 10.80 through 10.85, resolutions 22-618 through 22-623. All are for resolutions of support from the council to operate a Class 5 cannabis business.
Go one by one.
So we're going to start with 10.80. That's for Euphoria LLC. They've committed 1% of their gross income with a minimum of $10,000 through an MOU. They are a micro business, so they are limited to 2,500 square feet and 10 employees.
Let me ask you something, because I was reading all the MOUs. I'm not clear when it comes to one of the MOUs concerning the the training or walking track type of MOU that they have here. Let me go back and look at it. They partner with Jersey City Running.
Yes.
What is that? That's what I didn't know.
It appears to be just a running organization similar to like New York Road Runners.
How do they get back to the community?
The Road
That's
Runners,
what I want to know, because basically, a lot of these MOUs, they should be partnered with people who give back to the community. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
I understand, Council. I'm not representing the entity by no means, but just kind of give you an overview of
Yeah.
kind of what we see with these. Usually what they do is they help promote fitness and health within the city through the city residents, and they'll organize runs that would benefit additional nonprofits. So a 5K for breast cancer or 5K for educational purposes, and those dollars would go to another tax-exempt nonprofit.
Okay, so we have information on this group? I'm just, because I didn't know, I was looking, because when they give me these MOUs, I look for these organizations.
Yeah, we'll definitely have
That's
to,
all.
I'll ask
Give
for-
me some more information.
Absolutely,
That's
I
all,
agree.
because like you said, if they partner and they do like cancer runs or whatever, we should know about it.
Yeah,
Because,
that's the premise of running organizations.
Right.
I'm not speaking on the specifics of this one, so I'll make sure they give us information on it
before Wednesday,
for Wednesday.
sure.
or else we table this one. Go ahead.
Question today, okay. Second is item number 10.81. It's for the cannabis place 420 to operate a Class 5 retail cannabis business. And they have committed to Caldwell University. It's a $2,000 scholarship. It's going to follow the student throughout the 4 years. And there were some other MOUs that I know there were some concerns that have not been finalized yet. They have scheduled meetings
Okay,
with those by the end of the month, and they have to be voted on.
okay. I looked over the MOUs, there's no signature.
Correct.
So
They're still
how can
awaiting
How
signatures.
can we vote on something that's not signed?
I think they were expecting to have those signed by today, but they're not signed as of.
Okay, well, we can't vote on if it's not signed, so we could table this one. We can't, because it's not signed. That's
Correct.
why. I want everybody to understand that. It's not our fault it's not signed.
That's
When you present it, it
1081,
should be
right?
signed.
1081.
Yeah, MOU is not signed.
Next is 1082. It's for Jersey Leaf LLC, and they did submit their a commitment of $2,500 per quarter to the South Hudson Civic Association.
That's fine. Yeah, I told him. That's good. Go ahead.
Next is 10.83. That's for Butler and Baldwin, and they've also committed to Caring Hands with a minimum of a $10,000 donation.
Do you have any information on that organization, Caring Hands? I wasn't able to find too much. Do you know what they do?
I don't have any specific information, but I can request it.
Okay.
Okay.
I just have the MOU on file, but
Okay.
They located at, because I was Googling too, they located by the Municipal or something that they do.
did show a Jersey City.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
I saw that.
Yes.
Maynard, could you have them come before Wednesday to sign?
No, this is a different one.
Oh, this is,
Oh, that's-
We go back to the
previous
one
one.
that's not signed.
Well, the one that's not signed, they don't expect to meet now. I mean, I was updated today until the end of the month.
Okay.
Next, we
Okay.
have item number 10.84. It's for Decades Dispensary. They have an MOU with SCORES with a second chance program, committing $2,000, as well as there's a youth foundation where they've committed $15,000.
I saw that, yeah.
And the last is 10.85. It's for Oceanfront Holdings, who has a commitment with the Miracle Temple Church to assist with their summer program, a build-out of a music studio, as well as acquiring musical instruments.
This one should be pulled because what somebody told me was there's a lawsuit going on with this Oceanfront Holdings, and maybe it should be pulled, and the issue that's, whatever's going on should be checked into first.
Okay, well, I mean, we'll speak
Do we
to the
have
board.
do they have a lawsuit? Do we know anything like that?
Yeah.
There's nothing we're aware of at this time, but I will follow up.
Okay, let us know.
I do have a concern on Oceanfront. I just want to ask, have they met with any of the council members?
Ocean?
Oceanfront?
No.
My concern here is, I mean, they're in my ward. They have never reached out to me, and I checked in the neighborhood association, and they've never reached out to them as well. I believe they talked to the business group in the area, but I'd certainly love to talk to them before we vote on them.
Sure. I'll notify them.
Great, that'd be great.
Okay. All right, we good. Like I said, just with those, we need the signature. We won't get it, so we'll table that one. All right?
Sure.
And also, just give us information, pretty much update us on, JC running. That's what we need.
Okay, thank you.
And the information on the carrying hands, right?
Yes,
Just give us that. Who are they? Where they located?
yes, thank you.
Okay, that's it. Okay. Take it from the top, Sean.
Okay. Alrighty, taking it from the top. So on to our first reading ordinances, the ordinances that were not touched on. Item 3.1 and 2 were touched on early. Item 3.3, City Ordinance 22-070, is an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 242, Peace and Good Order, regarding the operation of all-terrain vehicles and dirt bikes on public streets.
Just want to thank the councilwoman for putting this forward.
Okay, item 3.4.
Sean, this
Yeah.
involves the whole city, correct?
Wait, Sean. Let me back up.
Say that again?
Okay, so the long and short of it is some police officers reached out, that's what I was actually reading just now, saying that they are not allowed to pretty much enforce dirt bikes and all-terrain vehicles because they cannot confiscate them. So based on the state law, they kind of leave it up to each municipality to declare these things as contraband for the police departments to confiscate. So that is what this ordinance is doing. Now, with that being said, understand that the cops are still not going to chase these vehicles because they consider that to be a safety hazard. But if there is a vehicle, found to be riding on public streets that they are able to stop or is stopped, they can now enforce a fine or collect these vehicles off of the street.
Oh, God.
There's, Peter, with regards to I know I believe it's a state law, with regards to the CCs, I think it's under 150 CCs, they're permitted to operate the vehicles or the dirt bikes. So
The definition that's in our resolution is based off the state definition of those vehicles. So we pulled the definition straight from the state for what an all-terrain vehicle is and what a dirt bike.
dirt bike.
In other words, you could break the law and do what you want, but we're not going to enforce it. And when I was in the police department, this was never heard of. Either you enforce the laws or don't enforce any laws in the city of Jersey City, because what's going on in the streets is unbelievable. And people are complaining, homeowners are sick and tired of it, and it's got to be done. I mean, this fact, you can't chase anybody, you can't do this, you can't do that. Then don't bother having any laws in the city.
And then the other part of that is, which I looked into, is, a lot of these vehicles don't have any registration, any license plates. That would be something that the state would have to handle through DMV. We don't have the authorization to require them to be registered vehicles, unfortunately.
Is the decision to not chase, is that based on Attorney General guidelines? Is that policy from the city? Is that statewide policy? Like, where is this emanating from?
The city follows the Attorney General guidelines.
So that's where the policy is coming from?
Once it escalates over a certain speed, that they are to cease.
Okay, the chase. Okay, unless it's a shooting or murder or something. Okay, just one for clarification.
So,
Okay, Denise? That's it?
You got another question?
We're good?
Okay, Sean.
Okay. Item 3.4, City Ordinance 22-071, is an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 242, Peace and Good Order, to prohibit the use of bicycles, scooters, skateboards, and roller skates in pedestrian plazas.
What about the rest of the city? In other words, you can ride any place you want in the rest of the city, but pedestrian plaza, it's all about downtown? Come on.
So, Council, this is to extend into the pedestrian plaza the same regulations that are on sidewalks. So we're asking walk your wheels and then restrict compliance within pedestrian plazas and pedestrian malls. This is for pedestrian safety. The new pedestrian plaza is now being treated like a sidewalk, and we want to make sure that pedestrians have safe and ample opportunity to walk around freely without getting hurt or endangered by any moving obstacles with wheels.
John, you got motorcycles riding on the sidewalks all over the city. No registration, no helmets, violating every law in the city of Jersey City. But that one square block, couple of blocks downtown, is okay. But the rest of the city can go to heck. No, this is wrong. And either they enforce the laws throughout the 13 square miles of Jersey City, or it's not all about downtown.
This law, does it apply to the entire city, and we're just including the pedestrian plaza?
Correct. We're adding the definition of pedestrian plaza to sidewalk enforcement that's citywide. Councilman Ridley is working on the dirt bikes and the motorcycle initiatives. This is strictly just to include the pedestrian plaza to be considered like a sidewalk.
How are you going to enforce it? You can't chase them, you can't do this. If you can't enforce the law throughout the city of Jersey City, you shouldn't be able to enforce it there. We have laws on the books, things are being violated every day, and there's accidents, and nobody's doing anything about it. Afraid of lawsuits. Come on.
Probably with the UEZ grant, we'll hire more cops to get it done. All right.
Councilman, we started with an educational campaign just so people are aware of the precautions and the issues that would result in an incident occurring. So now this will give us the teeth to enforce.
Could that maybe then reactivate a little bit of the traffic division then?
That's for another conversation, Councilman, but thank you.
John, in other words, it's all about downtown. The rest of the city can go to heck.
Well, any pedestrian plaza that we build
This affects the whole city, Rich.
within the
But
city.
the thing is, though, we're including that because the pedestrian walkway was not included in a law like this.
Correct,
Now
and-
we're including it, but it affects everybody. And we got UEZ dollars. We'll figure it out. We'll
This will
get
include
somebody to
Triangle
enforce
Park.
this.
We're rebuilding Triangle Park, so this will be included in there. So we're considering that a pedestrian mall as well. So throughout the city, as we implement any pedestrian
Correct.
malls or plaza, this would be included.
Right. It will, don't.
City.
Scooters, bikes, yeah.
Okay.
Joyce.
Item 3.5 and 3.6 were touched on earlier. Item 3.7, Ordinance 22-074, is an franchise ordinance granting permission to Harmony Foundation of New Jersey and its successors or assignees to make private improvements on a portion of the public right-of-way of Cole Street, 12th Street, Monmouth Street, and 13th Street adjacent to the property located at 277 Cole Street and 310 12th Street, also identified on the Jersey City tax maps as Block 7001, Lots 1 and 2. We have our attorney here representing the applicant. If any council members have any questions,
any questions?
we have the attorney here.
James, you have any question? I know this is your area. Oh, that's right. Oh,
Border now.
That's right, it's border now. Any questions?
We had just asked engineering to do a final review to see if they had any feedback, because obviously we're hoping to repair the whole.
They did, Councilman. We got clearance.
Okay, yeah, great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Okay. Item 3.8, City Ordinance 22-075 is a franchise ordinance granting permission to Ada Innes Hala Samuel for existing stairway and retaining wall encroachments into the right-of-way at Lot 19, Block 2004, also known as 99 Columbia Avenue. We also have the attorney here representing the applicants. If any council members have any questions, the attorney is here to answer them.
Any questions? I tell you, I'm sorry you sat here. Thank you.
Always good to see you. Thank you, everybody.
Better safe than sorry,
If
right?
you didn't, if there was some question, then
Always better safe than sorry. So items 3.9 through 3.12 were touched on earlier. That concludes the first readings. And remember that we're going to have 12 public hearings next meeting. All right, on that note, we have our second reading ordinance, which is only 2 of them. Item 4.1, City Ordinance 22-066 is a franchise ordinance granting permission to 199 Summit LLC and its successors and assigns to make private improvements in the public right-of-way in Ingerson Place for the property located at 199-201 Summit Avenue, 62-64 Storms Avenue, 203 and 207 Summit Avenue, 46 Storms Avenue, and 1 through 9 Ingerson Place, Jersey City, New Jersey, also known on the tax maps of the City of Jersey City as Block 15201, lots 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 18, 19, 53, 64, 65, 66, and 89. Item 4.2, City Ordinance 22-067 is an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 23, Municipal Court of the Jersey City Municipal Code Book to add 1 additional full-time judge to the municipal court. Okay. Next, we'll have a special improvement district public hearing on the 2022-2023 West Side Avenue Special Improvement District assessment roll and budget. Then after that, we will conduct, which we are required by law, the public hearing on the fiscal year 2022 municipal budget. Just keep in mind, council members, that I will be adjusting the clock. We have 3 minutes on the second reading ordinances and also the special improvement assessment roll and budget hearing, and then I will have to unplug the clock, adjust it, plug it back in, set it to 5 minutes. Once we're done with the municipal budget hearing, I will then unplug it, set it back to 3 minutes, and then we'll go on to our public hearing. And on the agenda, we have 52 speakers. That number is growing, and we will publish the agenda on Wednesday with a final number there. On to our petitions and communications, items 6.1 through 6.44. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Office of Communications, items 7.1 through 7.12. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, report of directors, 8.1 through 8.3. Any questions or comments? Next, we have our meeting claims list. Any questions or comments? None. Okay, next, items 10.1 and 2 were touched on earlier. Item 10.3, Resolution 22-541 is a resolution authorizing the renewal of an agreement with Value Payment Systems, LLC, to provide credit card processing and e-payment services for the City of Jersey City. Just stop me when you have a question, council members. Item 10.4, City Resolution 22-542 is a resolution opposing the expansion of the New Jersey Turnpike extension in Jersey City and supporting its repair and funding public transportation, bikeways, walkways, and safe street projects.
I think all the council's included in that, correct? All of us should be involved.
Correct, and we emailed
Okay.
the clerk.
Yeah, I just got the email. We'll update the fact sheet.
Yeah, update the fact sheet to say every council member is sponsoring.
When I get back to the office, I will make sure all council members' names are on there. Not a problem. Item 10.5, Resolution 22-543 is a resolution recognizing July 15th as Park and Recreation Professionals Day. Item 10.6, Resolution 22-544 is a resolution recognizing Apostle Teresa Speaks and Bishop Graham Speaks. Item 10.7, Resolution 22-545 is a resolution recognizing Leon Washington on his life and achievements. Item 10.8, Resolution 22-546 is a resolution honoring Ms. Zoraida Campos on the occasion of her 100th birthday. God bless. Congratulations.
Councilman Solomon sponsored that, by the way. Did you?
The Zoraida Campos?
Yeah.
Yes, that was on our office. Councilman Soleil stepped in because I wasn't able to
Okay.
attend her 100th birthday party. But
He wasn't on the sponsorship, okay?
Okay, item 10.9, Resolution 22-547 is a resolution in opposition of the New Jersey Division of Alcoholic Beverage Control's special conditions on limited brewery licenses.
good with that? Okay.
Okay, items 10.10 through 10.13 were touched on earlier. Item 10.14, Resolution 22-552, is a resolution authorizing the city to enter into an agreement authorizing the risk manager to issue a certificate of insurance to Jersey City Housing Authority, 400 U.S. Highway Number 1, Marion Gardens, Building Number 7, Jersey City, New Jersey, for the coverage of a youth mural project located at 400 U.S. Highway Number 1, Marion Gardens, Building Number 8 and 9, Jersey City, New Jersey, as part of the city's Youth Enrichment Summer Art Program. Okay, items 10.15 through 10.20 were touched on earlier. Item 10.21, Resolution 22-559, is a resolution awarding a contract to Accurate Career Builder Employment Screening, LLC, for background check services for the Department of Human Resources. Item 10.22 was touched on earlier. Item 10.23, Resolution 22-561, is a resolution approving the appointment of Orrin Olson to the Community Advisory Board for the Open Space Trust Fund. Item 10.24, Resolution 22-562, is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to Shulman, Wegman and Associates to provide court reporting services during council meetings for the office of the city clerk. Council members, if you have any questions on this, you know that we need Tracy at every council meeting, so this is just a renewal of their contract. Item 10.25, Resolution 22-563, is a resolution ratifying the award of a contract to Royal Printing Service for printing the official election machine and sample ballots for the primary election held on June 7th, 2022. This is just our portion that we have to pay for the sample ballots during the primary election, which we do every year. Next is item 10.26, Resolution 22-564, is a resolution introducing and approving the 2022-2023 budget of the McGinley Square Special Improvement District, directing the city clerk to publicly advertise the budget and schedule a public hearing, and directing the tax assessor to prepare an assessment roll of properties within the district based upon the budget. Item 10.27, Resolution 22-565, is a resolution accepting the assessment roll of the 2022-2023 West Side Avenue Special Improvement District of the City of Jersey City. Item 10.28, Resolution 22-566, is a resolution adopting and ratifying the 2022-2023 budget of the West Side Avenue Special Improvement District of the City of Jersey City. Item 10.29, 22-567, is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to Concept Printing to provide ATS mailers court notices for the Department of Administration, Division of Municipal Court. Item 10.30 through 10.40 were touched on earlier. Item 10.41, Resolution 22-579, is a resolution between the City of Jersey City and the Jersey City Public Schools to grant public school exclusive use of southwest corner of Paulus Hook during select hours. Next, item 10.42 was touched on earlier. Item 10.43, Resolution 22-581, is a resolution rejecting the bids received by the City of Jersey City for consulting services, the Jersey City Master Plan Update Historic Preservation Element. Item 10.44, Resolution 22-582, is a resolution of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City authorizing the city to enter into a cost reimbursement agreement with North New Jersey Transportation Planning Authority and the New Jersey Institute of Technology, which will enable Jersey City to receive funding for the future task orders. Items 10.45 through 10.47 were touched on earlier. Item 10.48, Resolution 22-586, is a resolution amending Resolution 22-232 dated March 23, 2022, authorizing the City of Jersey City to apply for the fiscal year 2022 Safe and Secure Community grant from the New Jersey Department of Law and Public Safety, Office of the Attorney General. Item 10.49, resolution that was touched on earlier, Item 10.50, Resolution 22-588, is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to Ferguson Enterprises for various supplies and/or services for City Hall project through the Educational Service Commission of New Jersey, formerly Middlesex Regional Educational Services Commission. Item 10.51, Resolution 22-589, is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to Store Tractor Company for the repair and various landscaping equipment until December 31st, 2022, through the Educational Service Commission of New Jersey, formerly Middlesex Regional Educational Services Commission. Is that wet the whistle there? Item 10.52 through 10.68 were touched on earlier. We're going on to item 10.69. I think we touched on this, but I'll just read it into the record. Resolution 22-607 is a resolution authorizing the purchasing agent to sell various motor vehicles at public auction. Items 10.70 through 10.77 were touched on earlier. Item 10.78, Resolution 22-616, is a resolution authorizing the City of Jersey City to enter into a cooperative pricing agreement with the Hudson County Cooperative Pricing System. Items 10.79 through 10.86 were touched on earlier. Item 10.87, Resolution 22-625, is a resolution ratifying the award of a professional service agreement with Michael A. Armstrong and Associates to represent former director, of the Jersey City Department of Recreation, Arthur Williams, in the matter of Dan Wiley versus the City of Jersey City.
If I can just jump ahead here, 1087, 1088, 89, 91, and 92, I will be circulating an email before tomorrow morning, just providing an update on all of those matters. If you have any questions, I can answer those offline.
So if you could just repeat that again, Corporation Counsel. So items 10.
Sure, I apologize. 10.87, 10.88, 10.89, 10.91, and 10.92.
Thank you. So, council members, you still want me to read those into the record, or are you going to be satisfied with the...
Read it in the record. Read it in the record.
You got it. All righty. 10.88, Resolution 22-626 is a resolution ratifying the award of a professional service agreement with Michael A. Armstrong and Associates, LLC, to represent former director of the Jersey City Department of Recreation, Arthur Williams, in the matter of Sabrina Harold versus the City of Jersey City. Item 10.89, Resolution 22-627, is a resolution renewing a professional service agreement with Light the Palmer Greenberg, LLC, to represent the City of Jersey City, Mark Bunbury, Scott Carbone, Mark Albies, and Stacy Flanagan in the matter of Sabrina Harold versus the City of Jersey City. Item 10.90, Resolution 22-628, is a resolution authorizing liens against the properties listed herein for the cost of removing the property's brush, weeds, and dead dying trees, stumps, roots, noxious growths, filth, garbage, litter, and debris in accordance with NJSA 40:48-2.14 and the Jersey City Code, Section 287-4. Item 10.91, City Resolution 22-629, is a resolution renewing professional service agreement with Light the Palmer Greenberg, LLC, to represent the City of Jersey City, Philip Zaki, James Shea, and various police officers in the matter of Leo Pinkston versus the City of Jersey City. Item 10.92 is a resolution renewing professional service agreement with the law firm Light the Palmer Greenberg, LLC, to represent the City of Jersey City, the Jersey City Police Department, James Shea, Philip Zaki, in the matter of Miguel A. Felice Rodriguez versus the City of Jersey City. 10.93, Resolution 22-631, is a resolution renewing professional service agreement with the law firm of Adams, Gutierrez, and Ladabordere, LLC, it's the best pronunciation I can do there, to act as a third-party hearing officers for the City of Jersey City in various disciplinary actions. And items 10.94 through 10.96 were touched on earlier. So, council members?
I think you may have missed 10.90, or was that addressed earlier? You did?
Did I skip over that? 10.90, I read into the record.
I'm very sorry.
That's okay. So with that being said, council members, may I have a motion to adjourn at 12:17 PM?
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Councilperson Saleh, seconded by Councilperson Prinzary. On the motion to adjourn, all council members present by acclamation, please say aye.
Aye.
We are out of here at 12:17 PM. Thank you so much. Remember, teamwork makes the dream work. Have a great rest of the day. Stay safe, everyone.
Stay safe, everyone. It's Bengals.